Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
So UTSA becomes bowl eligible for the 5th straight year under Coach Traylor. The win versus Temple was a very UTSA-like win. They turned the ball over too many times, but they had so many big plays. The Robert Henry run, the Chris Carpenter kickoff return. It was phenomenal. But I think this comes in a season from hell for them. After the Tulsa game, they were literally, or not literally, figuratively, even though Jeff Traylor will say literally, they were figuratively in the pits of hell. They gave up a 20-some-odd point lead against Tulsa. We're looking at a horrible season that they had no chance to become bowl eligible in. They reel off 3 straight wins. They're bowl eligible once again with 12 guys out for the season, and it's just the triangle is real. I mean,
yeah, and 18 guys out, 12 out for the year. They've had a couple be out. They haven't had everybody at the same week. So
they've never had a fully healthy team this year.
2 guys might come back, but another 2 guys are out. He's down his top 4 offensive linemen, his top 4 defensive linemen. At one point, he was down 5 receivers, and they went to a tight ends game plan.
Yeah, they were playing 13 personnel for most of the game.
And now a couple of those guys have come back.
Amador, yeah.
But he's got a freshman quarterback for all intents and purposes, who, by the way,
is
really good. I don't want to say he's better than Frank Harris, but if you projected him out 2 more years, 3 more years, got him for 3 more years, he could be better than Frank Harris. This kid can sling it, and they're putting up big numbers.
Their offense is clicking. I want to hear from Jeff real quick what he said after the game, and then we can get to talking.
But I was proud of my kids. I mean, we were literally in the pits of hell coming back from Tulsa, and that was the longest plane ride maybe we've ever been on. And if you'd have told us we were going to beat Memphis, North Texas, Temple, and be bowl eligible after blowing that lead we blew, somebody thought you were crazy. But for the 5th year in a row, our guys are going bowling, and never been prouder of a group for hanging in there and really believing in what we teach, the triangle, and they believe in the culture. I mean, it's most teams go away. Those guys just don't, man. There's 26 seniors we celebrated out there tonight, and I'm really glad I get to coach them another month.
It's just what they've done this year is no small feat. I mean, I know we all expected them to come out and maybe win 10 games and hopefully, compete for a college football playoff spot. But with all the injuries that they've had, with the blown leads that they've gone through, Tulsa, Rice, ECU, all of them held a lead in the 4th quarter of those games and ended up blowing all 3 of them. Where they are, where they've gotten to, is a huge testament to the coaching job that Jeff and his staff have done, Chuck.
I agree. I mean, I'll let you guys riff on UTSA because, I want to talk about just the college coaches we have here in general. I mean, at Trinity with Jeremy Urban, making them a playoff team essentially every year, and then the job that Quint Killow has done at UIW. So you guys go ahead and, there's lots to talk about with UTSA, but I'm more versed on UIW and what's going on over there.
UIW's had 3 coaches. The coach that's at North Texas, Eric
Morris,
Morris, and then the guy that's at Texas State, GJ, and now this guy, and they don't miss a beat, man. They don't miss a beat.
Yeah,
they're recruiting well, and they got a guy that might win the Heisman Trophy at Miami.
Yeah, Cam
Ward.
So it's unbelievable, and I don't know that Coach Clint Killow has gotten enough credit for what he's done because. It looks like, okay, he just kept the ball rolling or took the baton and he's run with it. But, they had to hire some new staff members. They had to replace 60 players off a team that made it to the Final Four a couple of years ago. What he and Richard Duran have done there, building this program. Here they are. They're a 6th seed. They're getting a first-round bye. The disappointment of being a 2-loss team last year, not getting in, using that as fuel to guide them through this season. They run the slate in the Southland, and then,
first time.
Cameras there yesterday, and you saw, Coach Killow, and he was moved to tears. This means something, and he's such a young guy. It's hard for an older man like me to go, man, this guy, he's so wise, and he gets it. There's a vision, and he's, again, I just can't say enough good things about what they've been able to do there. They got dudes, but, that's a tough league, and it's really hard to make the FCS playoffs, much less get a bye.
When you look at the future of college football too, which is a larger point that I wanted to get into here with you guys, it seems like UIW are going to be ravaged by larger programs. UTSA teams are going to ravage UTSA because of the money aspect of it. Now you have to get into this revenue sharing aspect of it. You get into the NIL. How much do you have to pay players for UTSA and UIWs and all of these places to remain competitive? And Coach, after the game, this is a soundbite from directly after they became bowl eligible in their season from hell. And one of the first things the coach is thinking about is is the revenue sharing aspect. He's always thinking about it. But one of the first things he wants to talk about is the revenue sharing aspect of this and how much UTSA is going to commit to this program.
How do you look at this season in terms of a step forward for the program? I know it's not over yet, but big picture-wise, how has this program gotten better?
Oh, well, if you just look, the AAC is not a joke. I think it's an eye-opener to all of us of what other teams are committing to this new process we're in. And we're going to have to take a look, a big picture view, the true point of how committed are we going to be. They're firing all these coaches, right? Well, they're not taking these jobs unless they're getting what they want, or they're not taking the job. So the revenue sharing is a real thing. Cost of attendance is a real thing. Austin money is a real thing. We got to be in there. And it's one of those kind of moments. Like if she had to call me in and fire me, like the rest of this league's getting fired right now, there's going to be some real decisions y'all have to make on who y'all bring in here and what the next guy's going to want, or you're not going to be successful. And this league is tough. It's a real league. So we'll have to make some decisions because moving forward, this stuff, it's real. There's a lot of pressure right now. And these next few months, or, when the settlement's done, July 25, that's going to be a big time for all of us.
Don, you tweeted it out yesterday, and that's how I saw it, was the Mike Finger article talking about how UTSA, it's time for them to either put their money where their mouth is or kind of go away.
That's a guy right there talking about his president of his university to his president of his university through the media, tired of being told no. To Lisa's credit, they've done a really good job of increasing their financial commitment to athletics and to football, because they've had to go from, whatever dog conference they were in to Conference USA to AAC, and every step of the way you have to pay more for your players, more for your coaches, more for your staff, and not just football, but in all sports. And Lisa's done as good a job as she can possibly do at raising money to get by. Now, Jeff, he's the guy getting $1 million from Harvey Najum for the practice field. He's the guy out there in the community getting April Ansira and Bob Wills money and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. That all changes in July. In July, schools can give $11 million a year.
Up to $20 million.
Or to 22
for players.
For players. But $11 million is kind of a gauge in that conference. Because they don't have the revenue, right?
Yeah, no one's expecting UTSA to spend $20 million.
It's a percentage of your revenue. So Texas and Alabama
and A&M, and
they can afford the 22, but the percentage. Jeff needs $3 million a year to keep Owen McCown, to keep guys from defecting. He's a heck of a recruiter. He's got these great freshmen, and every year, he lost Trey Moore. I don't know, $750,000, something at UT. And he's had all these guys poached. The culture's kept him around for something, $150,000 a month, whatever. But Taylor Amy has to commit to UTSA, or they're going to be an also-ran. And I think Jeff's plea there is he doesn't know that the university is committed or not. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because I don't know what the finances are at that school and who needs what and what other resources are needed. And, I think there's still room enough where there are going to be a lot of players that are just looking for opportunity, right, to show that they can play ball. Look at Zach Calzada at UIW. He's going to win his second player of the week this week again, and pros love his arm talent. And this is a guy that I would imagine with beating Alabama on your resume when he was at Texas A&M would mean something to a lot of schools. He came here for opportunity, and I know it wasn't the money chasing. So, again, I don't know what the dynamic is in the AAC. I know everybody's throwing money figures out there, but, at some point, somebody's going to have to put their foot down and say, we're an institution of higher learning and we're not a football factory.
Which is fine. And Mike Finger said that exactly yesterday. In fact, it was brilliant what he said. He goes,
Such a good writer.
you can be a vegetarian, right? In that regard. We're an institution of higher learning and, we're not going to pay for players. Fine. But right now you're a vegetarian, but you're entered into a hot dog eating contest. Right? So if you're entered into Division I football in the American Conference, then you have to compete. And if you're not going to, then just drop football or go back to some small conference or whatever. But don't say we're going to compete. And I've heard the comparisons about Army being in that league. Well, those guys are appointed to West Point. They can't leave. That quarterback at Army that everybody loves, or Max DiDomenico, he goes there for his first 2 years. He can't leave, right? Meanwhile, Jeff is having kids text him every week, Coach, LSU wants to give me this next year. What can you do? You
have to recruit your own players again.
Yeah, all the time.
I mean, I think what makes it even more difficult just for UTSA, before we get on to a different conversation, is this is their 14th year of football?
Yeah.
14th, 13th year of football. Like, this is such a new program. 14 years ago, this was never an issue.
Yeah.
Not only because money couldn't be paid to players, but because you didn't have the program. And Jeff has done such a good job by bringing this program from 3-9, which is what he inherited after Larry Coker, to
Frank Wilson.
Sorry. From what that school was and what their record was to being a perennial contender and spoken about and perennial winner as well in Conference USA. Now they're in the AAC and they're competing and they're doing their best. But it's like when you have to compete with the Memphises and the Tulanes and the guys with money, you're not going to win everything. SMU is a small-time program who can pay whatever they want and will now be a perennial power because they have all the money.
That's right.
And so
Memphis's quarterback's getting $1 million.
Yeah, Memphis is one of those teams. Memphis has disappointed this year. I'm surprised that there's not changes going on there with all the money they've spent on their roster, but that's a different point altogether. If you're going to be in this league, if you're going to continue to try and make UTSA the front porch of your school, then you need to invest in that front porch. You're not going to go into a house where the front porch looks like shit.
Yeah, well, either you believe it or you don't, right? And Taylor Amy's been on saying, I believe that the university or football program is the front porch of the university. Okay.
Show me.
Yeah.
Let's get into some fun stuff before we get out of here. Also, I really hope they beat Army this week. I love that they're playing, and I'm trying to get an interview with Max actually on Tuesday.
Yeah, good.
Max DiDomenico, the captain.
Chuck and I were talking yesterday. Sandwiched in between Notre Dame and Navy, Army might be looking past them.
They might.
I think Jeff could convince his team that this is their Super Bowl.
100%. Because right now I think they're scheduled they're projected for the First Responder Bowl. In the latest projections, they'll be in a better bowl if they win this one. We might be going back to Frisco, Don.
I think all those bowls are in Frisco, right?
Yeah,
the First Responder.
Going to the Scooter Coffee Bowl again.
The FCS title game is
Smoothie King Tropical Smoothie King Bowl. They went to the Tropical Smoothie King Bowl.
All I'm saying is that
they had good gear, by the way, from that bowl.
I'm saying is that if ASU makes it to the Big 12 title game, then I will not be here on December 7th. I'm going to go up to Dallas and go to the Big 12 title game.
As you should.